Hey everybody, it's Go Home Ryan. Welcome back to the channel, and today we are watching the Wicked for Good, Wicked and Good featurette. I'm really excited to spend some more time in this world. The final trailer got me really hyped for the movie, and so I'm glad that they're giving us even more material and giving us even more stuff to actually sit with before the movie comes out. I think as much time as we can spend in this world is time well spent. And so without further ado, let's just go ahead and hop straight into the featurette.
When we leave at the very end of Wicked, Elphaba has to make the decision to go off on her own.
Okay, so before we even, so this is an explainer video. This is I think for the people that need a bridge between the first movie and the second movie. I think that's what this is going to end up being. It's going to, like Cynthia Erivo already started doing, explain the end of Wicked, so that way it can prepare you for Wicked for Good. It's only been a year. About a year. I think most people will probably be okay with the details, but in the case that you aren't, they've got you. They're going ahead and giving us that bridge and maybe wrestling with some of the themes that we saw in the first Wicked and seeing how those transform into Wicked for Good. So, yeah, let's go ahead and get back into it.
End of Wicked, Elphaba has to make the decision to go off on her own.
And we catch up to them sometime later, and things in Oz have changed.
In Wicked for Good, we get to see the repercussions for their actions.
Repercussions is the name of the game. If you've seen the stage play, you already know. Things get. I already said it in my final trailer reaction, which you should go and watch. Things break down, and so I'm glad that they're highlighting that here. Like, yeah, you saw the energy of the first Wicked. The energy of the first Wicked is not the energy of the second Wicked. This is not the energy of the second Wicked. You get songs like Popular in the first half, second half. You get songs like For Good, like right, like that's two different energies. They mean two different things. And so I'm glad that they're acknowledging that here, and that they're preparing people for that, because I think it can be kind of jarring if you don't have any familiarity necessarily with the second half of the play, because it is such a significant tonal switch that's all triggered by Defying Gravity. I'd be interested to, and I'll let this play out, I'll be interested too in seeing what a double feature of the two movies will look like back to back, because I imagine, again, the energy is so totally different. I wonder if, in watching the whole movie out, which it probably is going to end up being about, like, if you were to watch both together, probably about 4 or 5 hours. If you were to watch both of those back to back, whether or not Defying Gravity feels like that switch in the tone of the show, in the same way that it feels like that in the stage version, and like really brings you into this new world that exists once Elphaba realizes that, this administration, for lack of a better word, isn't necessarily what she expected it to be. I don't know. A lot of parallels to today, to be honest with you. But we're here. We're here.
The choices they've made have elevated Glinda. And also meant that Elphaba now has to live a lonelier life.
Citizens of Oz, this wicked witch.
I'll also say just real quick, what I really enjoy is when they talk about the choices that they've made have changed who they are and have brought them into their positions. I think it's interesting looking at this too. Not, we get this pink and green marrying, right? This is all in this scene. We get pink and green is married here and throughout, they're kind of, because you have the Emerald City and, it's a place where Elphaba feels like she should almost belong because of how green it is. But at the same time, you get these no, this pink is infiltrating this. That's visually interesting to me. I think the other thing that's visually interesting to me is that, looking at where Glinda is, right? She's in the city. She's in a very cosmopolitan area. She's in her cosmopolitan era. And then we get Elphaba, right? Elphaba, who's in this forest. It's forest green. It's real, like, off the grid. It's real rugged. It's all over the place. Everything looks like, spectacularly messy, but then also just extremely fantastical as compared to like the rigid and trimmed nature of the Emerald City. So I mean, it's just visually interesting, I think, to see these two characters juxtaposed from one another, and again, how they say it in here in this trailer, how their life choices have landed them in separate places, right? And have led them to be who they are, right? So one is this high society, member of the cloth is the wrong word because that means like the church, but like a member of high society, right? Like the 1%, versus Elphaba, who's like fallen into this almost this rogue, rugged chapter of her life. And so we get that visual nod here in this featurette, and in the movie. I imagine we're gonna not even I imagine, I know we're gonna see this, right? So it's just such an interesting visual cue to let you know, like, this is Swamp Lady versus like, high society 1%er, and they're friends, sure. There's a lot of overlap between the two characters, sure. One could have been the other if things had gone differently, but it's just interesting to see that like externalized this way.
Now has to live a lonelier life.
Citizens of Oz, this wicked witch must be found.
That friendship is tested by two different ideas of how the world should be.
And then we got this shot in the trailer too, of like the juxtaposed wicked and good. I think, and something that I missed in the trailer too, is that they took that train in the first movie, which was originally green, and they like covered it in a pink covering, to show the switch. I appreciate what the Emerald City is doing here too, of like, the Wicked Witch, we're clearly associating her with green, and so, and I said this a little bit earlier, we're clearly associating her with green, so we're going to do what we can to make sure that we incorporate as much pink into this as possible, to let you know that this takeover is happening, that as much as we want to be the Emerald City, as much as that's a part of our identity, we also like are showing fealty and showing appreciation for this Glinda the Good. I mean, who ultimately may or may not be a pawn of, a quote unquote, this administration in power, but they're doing what they can to incorporate the green and the pink and the white, and we see that all throughout this scene here, which I think is just visually interesting.
I'm a public figure now. People expect me to
Lie,
Right.
be encouraging.
but they have matured. They're very much young women who are in their power.
It's the wicked witch!
Yeah, what an interesting. I said in the trailer reaction too, and I promise I will let this play out. I said this in the trailer reaction too. What is so interesting to me is what we don't get in the play and what they're allowed to do in the movie now, because they have so much more atmosphere to play with, and because they have a larger world to play with, like stuff like this, right? Of like, instead of painting Elphaba, like Elphaba's clearly a rebel in the play, and we recognize that. Like, we recognize that Elphaba's a rebel, but we don't get the rebellious action in the same way that I know we're going to get here. Even this, something as simple as this, right, is like it becomes harder to confuse what role Elphaba is playing as compared to the stage play. I think if you were just not paying attention, you could make a real faux pas and say that Elphaba's in the wrong in the stage play. That's if you're not paying attention, right? Just saying that. I think it's going to be harder to confuse that here, because we're going to get more of her rebellious action because of how large the world is compared to being on stage. And so I think that's going to be a really unique and welcomed addition into like this universe, and kind of expand the universe in a way that works a little bit more. Yeah.
They start to question the reality that they're living in.
We can't let good be just a word. It has to mean something.
Elphaba and Glinda's bond is tested multiple times, but they love each other enough to not only accept that, but celebrate it.
And they realize that actually they need to do very different things. They realize that actually they need to do very different things.
Everybody has a place in the revolution. Everybody has a role that they need to fill. Not everybody needs to be an Elphaba. Some people need to be a Glinda. You'll see what I mean. You'll see what I mean. I hope that comes across once this is all said and done. Some people need to be a Glinda. Some people need to be an Elphaba. There's roles for everyone. And that feels like that's kind of what they're speaking to here.
They need someone to be wicked so that you can be good.
Right. Okay. Interesting that we paused on this. I appreciate everybody in the comments who was like, hey dog, I think this might be a little different than what you're expecting it to be in the trailer reaction, because I was confused as to when this happened and the final trailer reaction. If you saw that reaction, I understand now. I understand it now. I know where y'all are coming from. I know what you mean. I did a little research on my end. I'm brought back up to speed. If there was a detail I forgot, no longer confused. No longer confused. Think they took some creative liberty here. I'm interested. I'm glad that they're doing this. I'm glad it's not so similar that like things are 1-to-1 or things need to remain the same. I'm with you. I'm with you now. I'm with you.
I don't think their friendship will ever break. It just changes form. And it actually makes them all the more powerful. It's time for both of us to fly!
Yeah, that's beautiful. What a great story about two women who were at odds and then became sisters, and then had to reconcile and reckon with all that it took and required to be sisters. And what a great featurette about how love survives even the toughest circumstances, or can survive, or will survive even the toughest circumstances. Because things are about to get tough. That's all I'll say. Things are about to get tough for a lot of people in this, and for good. So what a great featurette. I'm excited to see what Cynthia Erivo, and Ariana Grande do in the second half of this movie. I'm excited to see what John Chu brings back to it. Yeah, I think it's going to be a fun time out. I appreciate also that we are getting, like, as much as this movie is about the relationship of two women, it's a coming of age story, like I said in the final trailer reaction. As much as it's that too, it's also a movie about revolutionary action and about collective action, and I appreciate that. I appreciate that a lot, because I think we live in a world right now where that is a message that people need to take away. So I'm excited to see how they play with that theme some. I know people are like, I don't want my media to be political, but like all media is political. I think it's important. It's like super duper important that we talk about the political ramifications and the political themes that exist in movies like these, even if they are simple. I just, yeah. No, this is as much as we don't maybe want it to be, as much as certain people don't want it to be, it's going to be a movie about the revolution, and I'm excited to explore that with y'all. November can't come fast enough. But let me know what you think in the comments. Do you think that this is going to be a good movie? I know a lot of people are already really excited about it. Were you excited about this featurette? Did you like the details that you saw in the featurette? Are you excited about the creative liberties that they're going to take with For Good, and how they're going to change the narrative, but then also keep it relatively the same? We can have a conversation about that. We can talk about that more. But remember to like and subscribe. Until next time, where we can talk about more Wicked, it's been Go Home Ryan. Later, Gators.